Yes, my people, it is your boy VRD back with something else a little bit different this time. So I've been out of the train sim scene for quite a bit, and I've realized that Train Sim World 5 has been announced. They did a stream for it the other day at some point last week. Like I said, I haven't been really up to date with the whole Train Sim stuff recently. But yeah, Train Sim World 5 is on the way, guys. It's more or less identical to the way Train Sim World 4 was announced and the same pre order stuff and whatnot. So yeah, I feel like it's just going to be a yearly thing with these Train Sim World games. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm just going to give you guys my brief opinion on this whole Train Sim World 5 madness. The West Coast mainline in particular. I don't care too much for the other routes. However, the West Coast mainline is going to be the main route I'm going to be focusing on for obvious reasons. And then after that, what I'm actually going to do is provide you guys with five route predictions. So routes that I believe will be coming up after the release of Train Sim World 5. These are going to be UK routes, obviously, and I am going to be quite biased. They're all going to be in the south of England, so it's not necessarily a realistic prediction. It's more of just routes that I personally would like to see released over the between the 2024 and the 2025 period. So to begin with, what do I think of Train Sim World 5 as in the game itself? Well, what can I say? It's similar to Train Sim World 4, more or less the same game as we all know. This is what most of these gaming companies do nowadays. They just re-release the same game with a rebranded title and charge you for it again. It's a it's a well-known marketing technique. I'm not gonna be one of these guys that complain about it, unlike a lot of people complaining about it in the comment sections of the developers' videos. They're charging us for the same game. Like, man, just get your money up and buy the game. Seriously, man. These developers, they actually, this what they do isn't easy. You don't need to stop moving ungrateful and just pay the people, man. This is their life. This is how they support their families, man. Can't stand people like that. Anyway, I believe there were a couple new features added. The main ones I remember were in the map, the 2D map. There are now going to be labels for the stations, which I think is quite helpful. I guess my geography is quite on point, to be honest, so I've never really needed them. But someone who's not too familiar with the route that they're driving on, that is going to be a massive help. There's also a guard mode, and the guard mode was previewed. Sorry, it was teased a bit with the Glossop line. I believe the Glossop line, which was released. I cannot remember when the Glossop line was released because I don't even own it. But I think that was released back in 2023, if I'm not mistaken. So Train Sim World 3, that would have been. Yeah, guard mode. You can collect people's tickets and all that. Remove luggage from gangways and a lot of other things. I personally do not care for guard mode. I'm here to drive trains. The Train Sim World, in my opinion, I you know what? It's not for me. Maybe that's your thing, pretending to be a guard, but I I can't do it. Another new feature that I remember somebody talking about was the ability to fast travel between stations, which again, it's not something that's gonna hugely benefit me, but for someone that would need to do something like that, that is a huge help. Just to clarify, what that more or less means is you're gonna have the ability to teleport between stations somehow in free roam mode. I don't know how you're gonna be able to do that. Maybe they're gonna do it so that you have to go to the main menu. That's what I would assume. But yeah, that's another feature. Another feature that I think is actually quite good is the route porting feature. So you're going to be able to jump between different routes in free roam mode without having to go back to the main menu. There'll be I guess there'll be a marker somewhere on the platform that you just walk into, and that will give you the option to travel over to a different route where the locations overlap. So say for example Brighton on the East Coastway and the Brighton Main Line, that is a well-known one that everyone knows about. If you pull into Brighton station, on the East Coast way, and then you want to drive up to London Victoria afterwards, you'd have to go out to the main menu and then load back into the different route. But now you're going to be able to go into the marker on the platform and load into the different route, and it's automatically going to have the same time, the same weather, which I think is quite helpful because I do stuff like that quite a lot, where I'll be driving on one route, I'll arrive at a location that is seen on a different route, and I'll swap over to the other route and continue driving from there. So I'm quite pleased about that. The price, guys, the price. Now, I believe, I actually can't remember. I should have looked at this before I did the video. I can't remember the prices. The standard edition, I think, was £40. The deluxe edition, no, I can't even remember the names. The next one up from the standard edition, I think that was 50 or 60, and then the next one after that is about £100, or maybe there was another one in between. And all right, do you know what? I'd say it's between, the price range is between £40 and £110 or something like that. With the £40 one, I believe you're just getting the. Do you get just the game with the routes included, or? I think, yeah, no, sorry, the game itself is free. If you want the game with the new routes, so the West Coast Mainline and the two other routes that I don't care about, then yeah, that is the standard edition for £40. That I believe the next edition after that, that will give you a few other bits, including the Pendolino. I'm gonna get into that in a second, and you will be able to download the game 10 days earlier than everyone else. Maybe it's not 10 days, but I believe you will have early access to the game if you buy the more expensive versions. I really should have done my research and just said the exact figures, but sorry guys. Again, it's not ideal the way that's been set up. I'm not really too pleased about it, especially with the Pendolino being behind the paywall, but I'm not going to complain about it. It is what it is. Just give them the money, man. So yeah, just to clarify, and if you do want to see the exact figures, then go check out some other YouTubers' videos who actually have the discipline to correctly edit. But from the lower end, it's going to be around £40, and the higher end, where you get a whole bunch of routes with the game, you're looking at about £110. So I'm probably going to get the £60 version. Now, the West Coast Mainline. This is what we've all been waiting for. It got leaked, unfortunately. Sorry, I should have laughed. That's sorry, it's not even funny, guys. Yeah, the West Coast Mainline. London Euston up to Watford. No, not Watford Junction. Milton Keynes, which is about 50 miles. Come on, man. At least New Street. I think Euston to Milton Keynes is not. It's not that far at all. You're not gonna really be able to stretch the Pendolino's legs like that. I think Birmingham New Street would have been the more ideal option. It could have been worse, but again, it could have been better as well. So yeah, next time, devs, just make your routes a bit longer winded. You know, we actually like to stretch, especially these routes with the faster trains. You know, a bit more length, please. Like the East Coast Mainline, for example, that was perfect. It's a bit boring, but it gives you an opportunity to stretch the 801's legs. So yeah, I believe someone said that Euston to Milton Keynes is about 50 miles, so a similar distance to the Brighton Main Line, more or less. So if you imagine driving the Brighton Main Line in a Pendolino at 125 miles an hour, you know, it's not gonna be it's not gonna last too long. It's a bit too short. So with the criticism against the route's length out of the way, let's get into the trains themselves. I believe it was so we have the 350. 350 is quite interesting. I'm quite happy to see that. Looking forward to taking that for a spin. Class 390, again, really excited about that as well. I've only driven the Class 390 in Open BVE, so I'm not too clued up on that train at all. So I'm looking forward to getting getting to grips with the controls and whatnot. Yeah, it is quite exciting. And then we also had the Class 377 stroke 2, the pantograph. Ooh. When I first saw that, I was thinking, okay, nice, they remade the Class 377 stroke 4, cheeky, giving it a pantograph, changing it into the Dash 2, nice touch. But then I realised, on the East Croydon to Watford Junction service, or whatever it is, that that is operated by Class 377 stroke 7s nowadays. There's no stroke 2s that do that anymore. It used to be stroke 2s back in the day, but now the stroke 2s tend to run alongside the stroke 1s and the stroke 4s on the main services, that the Brighton services, Eastbourne, it's on the East Croydon to Milton Keynes is operated by Dash 7s nowadays, or served by Dash 7s, I should say. Um, if you guys don't know what a Dash 7 is, I don't know what to tell you. Google it. But it's a 5 carriage Class 377. It's identical to the Dash 6. However, the Dash 7 just has a pantograph. Whereas no, Dash 7 has a pantograph and a third rail. Dash 6 is third rail only. And what sets these two subclasses apart from the other subclasses of the 377 is that they actually resemble a Class 387. They're more or less identical to a 387, except for the top speed. Top speed is different. So this would have been that difficult for the developers to add into the game. Just grab your 387 that you already have for Gatwick Express, add an additional carriage to it. The pantograph's already there. Repaint it into the Southern livery, and the cabs are slightly different. I believe the 377-6 and 7s have the older TPWS, whereas the 387 has TPWS Mark 4, but that can't be too difficult to sort out. So yeah, I just feel like the developers missed a huge opportunity there. A 377 stroke 7 would have been perfect as opposed to the 377 stroke 2. However, can't complain. It is going to be interesting to see if they sorted out the first class area, because as you guys know, I doubt anyone knows this except me and a few other people, but the first class area of the Class 377 stroke 4, which is the one that came with the Brighton Mainline, that is unique as in comparison to all the other subclasses of the 377 stroke 7, bar the stroke 5. I think the stroke 5 has the same first class area as well, but all the other subclasses, the first class area is slightly different. The difference being that the glass doors that separate it from the other first class areas do not exist on the other subclasses. So I hope they were smart enough to remove those glass doors from the stroke 2 variant. They didn't remove it from the stroke 1 variant, so yeah. Also guys, layers on layers on layers. I really hope that all the layers are on point. The 1972 stock, Class 710 London Overground. I want to be seeing layers. I don't want to be driving along some empty ass route. The AI needs to be flawless. We've got the Class 66, and I really want another livery for the 66 as well. Freightliner or GBRF, just something to change it up a bit. But yeah, I hope like I said, I hope we get a wide variety of AI on the West Coast Main Line. I do believe that the Watford DC line is being included as well, so you can do the Euston to Watford services in the 710, which is a nice touch. Overall, my people, I am extremely excited for this route. This is huge. There's only a few criticisms that I had, which I think I did cover. Hopefully I didn't leave anything out. Just a couple missed opportunities, but are we surprised? These developers never miss opportunities to miss opportunities. So yeah, guys, with that out of the way, I'm now gonna get into the predictions that I have for upcoming releases for Train Sim World 5. Prediction number one, and this has more or less been written in stone due to the fact that the 350 is on the way. The what is it called? The Southwestern Mainline or Portsmouth Direct Line, something in the Southwestern region. I'd personally like to see London Waterloo to Portsmouth. However, I doubt they'd model the whole thing. They'd probably only do it up to Guildford or something, which is acceptable, I guess, because of the current standard. A class 444 would be nice as well. They're probably gonna do that and then sell it separately, whatever I'd buy it. And you also have the 159 or the reskinned 158, whatever it would be, which you can toss in there. You've got the artificial intelligence in the Clapham area, the 377s and 387s. Maybe the Epsom branch, the Epsom loop, whatever it's called as well. So you can do some of the. Oh, that's the only thing. How would you have AI for the slow services? Yeah, you'd have to make something for the slow services as well. That would be the only problem. Because I don't think there's any point doing a 455 because they're gonna be retired soon. So they'd probably have to model a 701 as well. Oof. Yeah, that might be a bit more challenging than I initially thought, but hopefully we do see some sort of route in the southwestern region in the near future. Prediction number two, we have the London Overground East London line. I can't remember what it's called nowadays. I think they renamed it to the Windrush line or something. I would like to see that modelled from Highbury and Islington all the way down to West Croydon, Crystal Palace, and if they're feeling generous, Clapham Junction as well, and the New Cross branch. I feel like that would be a monster of a route, complete with the class 378. You'd have the class 377 and 700 as AI. You'd even have the 465 and the 375 as well in the London Bridge area around Millwall Stadium. If you guys are familiar with the route, you'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I feel like that was a missed opportunity when they released the Goblin line, the Suffragette line. I was thinking, why wouldn't they just do the East London line instead? Because then you have more of a sort of networky feel to it. You've got all these little branches. It's almost like an upside down tree. You've got all these branches that come together and they go up to Highbury and Islington at the top. So yes, Highbury and Islington down to West Croydon, Crystal Palace, New Cross and Clapham Junction potentially as well, complete with the class 378. Let's make it happen, people. Prediction number three, this one's a bit more unlikely, but it's something that I'd love to see, would be the South London network. Remember the South London network on Train Sim Classic that got released? I think it's been a good 10 years now, or coming up to 10 years. I'd love to see that in Train Sim World. So that would be London Victoria and London Bridge, all across of South London, and the branches down to Caterham, Tattenham Corner, and Epsom Downs as well. I'd say maybe Epsom as well. Just Epsom, not Epsom Downs. There's Epsom and then Epsom Downs. Come on, you guys know what I'm on about. But that might be a bit too much to ask for. But I'd say at least two of the four branches that I just mentioned, I'd love to see included in that. If I had to pick two out of the four, I'd say Caterham and Tattenham Corner. No, but then again, no, I think I'd like to see Epsom Downs. Nah, do you know what? Epsom Downs and Caterham, I think would be the two branches I'd like to see. No, Tattenham Corner. Sorry, I'm being indecisive, guys. The Tattenham Corner line is beautiful. So yeah, Tattenham Corner and Epsom Downs. If they could include all four, then I'd rather that, but I doubt they'd be able to do that because they're them and their excuses. But yeah, guys, we already have suitable trains for it, both as the services and both as the playable services and the AI services. The only train I think they would need to model would be the 377 stroke 6 and 7s. Other than that, we've already got the trains for that. So South London network, let's make it happen. Prediction number four, is the C2C network, and everyone's been going on about this for years now. C2C network can easily be modeled in Train Sim World. You just need to model we've already got the 387, so it would just be the 7. I cannot for the life of me remember the train that runs on there. It's one of the adventure classes, but I can't remember the exact class. It's not the 7. I think it's the 720, but I might be sure. I might be sure. I might be wrong. So yeah, C2C network, the whole thing from Fenchurch Street down to Shoebury-Ness and Shoebury. I'm not too familiar with with the C2C network, guys, but the whole thing. I know it's a sort of, there's like a loop, I believe, or there's two. They branch out, they separate, and then they meet up with each other again. I believe I might be wrong, but just the entire thing. Anyone who's familiar with it will know what I'm on about. I'd like to see that in Train Sim World as well, complete with the new adventure train that I can't remember the class of. So yeah, let's make that happen. And finally, we have the Piccadilly line. Yes, the Piccadilly line, the entire thing, please. Cockfosters down to Heathrow Terminal 5, the Terminal 4 loop, and the Uxbridge branch. Complete with the 2024 stock. Yes, I'd like to see the 2024 stock. Don't you dare do the 73 stock. 2024 stock only. If you're going to do the 73 stock, do it as a separate thing where people can buy it, but don't make that the main train for the route. Come on now, don't be an idiot. And yes, I would like to see the S stock as AI as well. Don't think I forgot about the S stock, you know. Don't you dare leave the S stock out, because that's going to make me angry. Because when you do the S stock, you've got some more opportunities for, you're creating opportunities for future routes down the line. I wouldn't really want to see a route with the S stock, however, because I know the S stock is partially automatically driven now, and automatic train operation in Train Sim World is a big no-no in my opinion. So yeah, a route with the S stock isn't really top priority, but I would want them to model the S stock just so we can have it as AI on the Piccadilly line. Now guys, I can't remember if I said this before or not, but I am aware of the fact that I'm being biased. All of these routes are set in London, the south of England, because that's where I'm from. So it makes sense that I'd rather see routes based in the area that I reside in. Realistically speaking, I doubt the developers are going to abide by my predictions and my requests. But yeah, I just thought I'd share that with you guys, my little wish list for Train Sim World 5. So yeah guys, that more or less concludes this little, I don't even know what to call this, but that concludes it. I'd like to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. Constructive feedback and criticism is more than welcome in the comment section below and is highly appreciated. If you'd like to further support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing. I will catch you guys in the next one. Love.